Commander Juan looked out of the small window as his ship got closer to the huge space station. The metal structure was bigger than any city on Earth. Lights blinked everywhere on its surface like tiny stars. This was Galactic Council Station Omega-7, and today humans would meet alien leaders for the first time. "Sir, we will dock in 10 minutes, said his pilot through the speaker. Juan turned to look at his team. Jisoo sat near the wall, reading reports about alien biology on her tablet. She was the best scientist Earth had for studying alien life. Next to her, Taimin was practicing his speech. As the human ambassador, he would speak for all of Earth today. "Are you nervous?" Juan asked them. "A little," Jisoo said without looking up. "We know so little about them. They have been watching us for years, but we only learned about them 6 months ago." Taimin stopped reading his notes. "What worries me is why they waited so long to contact us. Humans have had space travel for over 100 years. The ship shook gently as it connected to the station. A soft voice spoke through the walls. "Welcome to Galactic Council Station Omega-7. Please follow the blue lights to Meeting Room 7. Juan picked up his bag and walked toward the door. "Let's go meet our new neighbors." The hallway was enormous. The ceiling was so high that Juan could not see the top. Strange symbols glowed on the walls and the air smelled like flowers mixed with metal. Other beings walked past them, but none looked human. Some had 4 arms, others had skin that looked like rocks, and a few seemed to be made of light itself. "Look at how they stare at us," Jisoo whispered. She was right. Every alien they passed stopped what they were doing to watch the humans walk by. Their faces showed many emotions, but fear seemed to be the strongest. Some even stepped back when the humans got close. "Why are they afraid of us?" Taimin asked quietly. A tall being with crystal-like skin approached them. It had no hair and its eyes were completely white. When it spoke, its voice sounded like music. "I am Vexitar, leader of the Galactic Council. Welcome, humans." Juan stepped forward. "Thank you for inviting us. I am Commander Juan, and these are my colleagues Jisoo and Ambassador Taimin." Vexitar nodded but kept its distance. "Please follow me." "The council is waiting." They walked through more hallways until they reached a circular room. 12 different alien species sat around a large table. Each one looked completely different from the others. Some had tentacles instead of arms, others had multiple heads, and a few looked like living plants. "Please sit," Vexitar said, pointing to 3 empty chairs. As soon as the humans sat down, all 12 aliens began speaking at once in their own languages. The sounds mixed together into a strange melody of clicks, whistles, and hums. After a few minutes, they stopped and looked at Vexitar. "We have decided," Vexitar announced. "We will offer you membership in our council, but with special rules." Taimin leaned forward. "What kind of special rules?" Another alien, this one looking like a giant insect, pushed a tablet across the table. "These are the restriction accords. You must agree to them before joining us." Jisoo picked up the tablet and read the first page. Her eyes grew wide. "This says humans cannot leave their solar system. It also says we cannot do certain activities, but it doesn't say what activities." "What activities are you talking about?" Juan asked. The aliens looked at each other nervously. A creature that seemed to be made of liquid spoke in a voice like bubbling water. "We cannot speak of them directly. It is too dangerous to talk about," Taimin said. "What could be so dangerous about talking?" Vexitar's crystal skin began to glow brighter. "Your species has unique characteristics. We have observed you from far away for many years. You do things that should not be possible." "Like what?" Jisoo asked. "You survive in conditions that kill other species. You heal from wounds that should end life. You solve problems by thinking of solutions that break the laws of science," said a small alien with multiple eyes. Juan laughed. "That just sounds like human creativity and toughness." The room went completely silent. All 12 aliens stared at him with what looked like terror. "You laugh," whispered Vexitar. "This is exactly what we feared." "I don't understand," Taimin said. "Why is laughing a problem?" The insect-like alien's voice shook as it spoke. "Because your kind laughs in the face of the impossible. And then, you make the impossible happen." Jisoo put down the tablet. "You're scared of us." "Yes," Vexitar admitted. "Every species in this galaxy has stories about creatures like you. We call them the Voidwalkers. They are legends from our oldest times, beings who could change reality itself just by believing it should be different." "That's just stories," Juan said. "Is it?" asked the liquid alien. Your planet Earth was dying from pollution 50 years ago. Scientists said it would take thousands of years to fix, but humans said no and fixed it in 20 years. You created technology that our science says cannot work. Taman felt a chill run down his back. Are you saying we're these Voidwalkers? We do not know, Vextar said, but the similarities are troubling. The legends say the Voidwalkers disappeared from the galaxy 50,000 years ago. Before they left, they promised to return when they had learned to use their power wisely. The room was quiet except for the soft humming of the station's machines. Juan looked at his teammates and saw the same confusion in their eyes. What happened to them? Jisoo asked. According to our oldest records, Vextar said slowly, they went to sleep. They said they would dream of a better way to exist, and then they vanished completely, as if they had never been real. Taman's hands began to shake. And you think humans might be these Voidwalkers? We hope we are wrong, said the many-eyed alien. Because if you are what we think you are, then the galaxy is about to change forever. And change is the one thing we fear most of all. Outside the meeting room, alarms began to sound throughout the station. Vextar's crystal skin went completely white. What's happening? Juan asked. The sensors are detecting something impossible, Vextar said, its musical voice now filled with panic. Reality itself is shifting around your ship. 3 days after the meeting, Jisoo found herself on the Kethnari homeworld. The planet looked like it was made of giant crystals that reached up to the clouds. Everything sparkled in the light of their blue sun. She walked carefully through the crystal forest following Silandra, a Kethnari historian. Are you sure about this? Silandra asked for the 10th time. Her crystal skin was darker than Vextar's, almost black with worry. The forbidden archives have been sealed for 50,000 years. There are good reasons why we do not look at them. We need to understand what you're so afraid of, Jisoo said. How can we follow rules when we don't know what we're agreeing to? Silandra stopped walking and turned to face her. You do not understand. These records, they show things that should not exist, things that broke the very foundation of reality. They reached a building that looked like a massive crystal cave. Ancient symbols covered every surface, glowing softly in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Silandra placed her hand on a crystal panel and the door slowly opened. Once we go inside, there is no going back. Silandra warned. What you learn will change how you see everything. Inside, the walls were covered with thousands of crystal storage devices. Each one contained holographic records from the distant past. Silandra led Jisoo to a section marked with symbols that seemed to move when she wasn't looking at them directly. These are the oldest records, Silandra said. From the time of the Voidwalkers. She touched one of the crystals and the air above it began to glow. Slowly, images formed in the light. Jisoo gasped when she saw what appeared to be humans walking through space without any protection. Their skin was pale and their eyes were completely black, but they were definitely human-shaped. They could survive in the vacuum of space, Silandra explained. They needed no air, no heat, no protection from radiation. They traveled between stars using only their bodies. The image changed to show one of these beings healing from a terrible wound. The skin grew back in seconds. Bones reformed and organs repaired themselves as Jisoo watched. Wounds that would kill any other species meant nothing to them. Silandra continued, but that was not the worst part. Another crystal activated, showing a Voidwalker standing in front of a broken machine. The being stared at it for several minutes, then the machine began working again, even though pieces were still missing. They could think things into existence, Silandra whispered. If they believed something should work, it worked. If they thought something should exist, it appeared. They changed reality by simply refusing to accept that it couldn't be changed. Jisoo felt her heart beating faster. This looks impossible. That word meant nothing to them, Silandra said. Watch this. The hologram showed a Voidwalker standing before a dying star. The star was collapsing, about to become a black hole that would destroy everything nearby. The Voidwalker raised its hands and somehow the star stopped dying. It began burning normally again as if nothing had been wrong. How? Jisoo asked. We still do not know. Our scientists studied these records for thousands of years. The only explanation they could find was that the Voidwalkers' minds could override the laws of physics. They moved to another section of the archives. Here the crystals showed images of destroyed planets and missing star systems. Every major disaster in our recorded history happened near Voidwalker settlements, Silandra explained. Planets that exploded for no reason. Stars that simply stopped existing. Entire solar systems that were there one day and gone the next. They destroyed these places? We do not think it was on purpose. The records suggest that strong emotions could trigger their abilities without control. When they were angry or sad or scared, reality around them became unstable. Jisoo stared at an image of a planet that was half gone, as if someone had erased part of it. What happened to them? Silandra activated the final crystal. This one showed thousands of Voidwalkers gathered on a planet that Jisoo didn't recognize. They were all lying down, their eyes closed. This is the last record we have of them. Our ancestors watched from hidden ships as the Voidwalkers performed their final act. In the hologram, one of the Voidwalkers stood up and spoke. Even though the language was ancient, somehow Jisoo could understand the words. "We have become too powerful," the Voidwalker said. "Our emotions shake the stars. Our thoughts reshape worlds. We are not wise enough to have such power." "What did they do?" Jisoo asked. "They chose to sleep, but not normal sleep. They said they would dream themselves into new forms that would be limited and humble. They wanted to learn wisdom before their power returned." The hologram showed all the Voidwalkers closing their eyes. One by one, their bodies began to fade away like mist. Within hours, they had all vanished completely. "They dreamed themselves out of existence?" Jisoo said. "Not out of existence. Into something else." The last thing their leader said was, "We will return when we have learned to love more than we desire to control." Silandra turned off the hologram and looked at Jisoo with frightened eyes. 3 months ago, we finally discovered where the Voidwalkers went. Where? We found their DNA. After 50,000 years of searching, we found genetic traces of the Voidwalkers on one planet in the galaxy. Jisoo's blood turned cold. "Which planet?" "Earth." The crystal room spun around Jisoo as the truth hit her. "You're saying humans are the Voidwalkers?" "The genetic match is 97% identical. You are not just similar to them. You are them, somehow changed and reborn." Jisoo thought about all the things humans had accomplished that aliens called impossible. The way they had saved Earth's environment. The technology they had created that shouldn't work according to alien science. The way they never gave up no matter how hopeless things seemed. "But we don't have their powers," Jisoo said. "Are you certain?" Silandra asked. "On your space station yesterday, our sensors detected reality fluctuations around your engineer, Kyung-ho. He was working on a problem that our best scientists said could not be solved, but he solved it anyway." Jisoo remembered how Kyung-ho had fixed the ship's engine using a method that made no scientific sense. He had just looked at it and said, "It should work like this," and somehow it did. "The powers are returning," Silandra continued. "Your species is waking up from its 50,000-year dream. Soon you will remember what you truly are, and that scares you. It terrifies us. The last time the Voidwalkers were active, they nearly destroyed the galaxy just by existing, and that was when they were trying to be careful." Jisoo looked around at all the crystal records. 50,000 years of history all leading to this moment. "What do we do now?" "That depends on your species," Silandra said. "Have you learned the wisdom you sought? Can you handle such power without destroying everything around you?" Before Jisoo could answer, her communication device began beeping urgently. She answered it and heard Juan's voice filled with panic. "Jisoo, you need to get back to the station immediately. Something's happening on Earth. People are changing things just by thinking about them. And it's getting stronger." Minho wiped the sweat from his face and looked at his fields with confusion. Just yesterday, the crops had been dying. The soil was sick and nothing would grow. His family farm had been failing for months, and he was about to lose everything. But this morning, everything was different. The corn stood tall and green, reaching toward the sky like it had been growing for months instead of days. The rice fields were golden and ready for harvest, even though he had planted them just last week. The soil that had been gray and lifeless was now rich and dark. "This cannot be real," Minho said to himself. He remembered what had happened the night before. He had been standing in the middle of his dying fields, feeling hopeless and angry. In his frustration, he had shouted at the ground, "You should be growing food, not dying. I need you to be healthy." And somehow the land had listened. His neighbor, Old Man Park, climbed over the fence between their properties. His eyes were wide with amazement. "Minho, what did you do? Your fields look like magic happened here." "I don't know," Minho said honestly. "I just wished they would grow." "Wished?" Park laughed. "I've been wishing for good crops for 40 years. Wishing doesn't make plants grow overnight." Minho touched one of the corn stalks. It felt real. The ears of corn were heavy and perfect. Maybe some wishes are stronger than others. 200 kilometers away in Seoul, Soo-hyun sat in a hospital room holding her daughter's hand. 8-year-old Nari had been sick for weeks. The doctors said there was nothing more they could do. They had tried every treatment, but the illness was too strong. "Mama, am I going to die?" Nari asked in a weak voice. "No," Soo-hyun said firmly. "You are not going to die. I won't let you." She had been saying the same thing for days, but this time felt different. This time she meant it with every part of her being. She closed her eyes and imagined Nari healthy and laughing. She pictured her daughter running and playing with her friends. She refused to accept any other possibility. "I can see you getting better," Soo-hyun whispered. "I can see you growing up and becoming strong." When she opened her eyes, Nari's cheeks had more color. Her breathing was easier. The machines monitoring her health showed numbers that made the nurses run to get the doctor. "What's happening?" the doctor asked when he saw the readings. "Her condition is improving," the nurse said, but her voice was confused. "Her blood work is getting better by the hour." "This shouldn't be possible." Soo-hyun smiled and squeezed her daughter's hand. Sometimes impossible things happen when someone believes hard enough. On the space station, Hwan was trying to understand reports coming from all over Earth. Strange events were happening everywhere. A man in Tokyo had fixed a broken bridge just by staring at it and believing it should be whole. A woman in London had made flowers bloom in the middle of winter because she thought the park looked too sad without them. "Sir, we're getting hundreds of these reports every hour," said Lieutenant Kim, handing him another stack of files. "People are changing reality just by thinking about it." Jisoo had returned from the Kethnari homeworld with shocking news about humanity's true nature. Now they were seeing proof that she was right. Humans weren't just similar to the ancient Voidwalkers. They were the Voidwalkers, and their power was waking up. "What does the Galactic Council say about this?" Hwan asked. "They're mobilizing their fleets," Kim replied. "Not to attack us, but to contain what they call the Great Awakening. They're surrounding our solar system." Taemin entered the room with his face pale. "I just got off a call with Vextar. The aliens are more scared than ever. They say our emotions are affecting space itself. Every time a human feels something strongly, it creates ripples in reality." "How is that possible?" Hwan asked. Jisoo looked up from her research tablet. "According to the Kethnari archives, consciousness and reality are connected at the quantum level. Most species can only observe reality, but Voidwalkers, humans, can actually change it by believing it should be different. So we're all becoming like gods?" Kim asked nervously. "Not gods," Jisoo corrected. "We're remembering what we always were." The ancient Voidwalkers chose to limit themselves because they realized their power was dangerous. They reincarnated as humans to learn humility and compassion. Hwan thought about Minho saving his farm and Soo-hyun healing her daughter. It doesn't seem dangerous when people use it to help others. "That's the key," Jisoo said excitedly. The original Voidwalkers failed because they used their power for themselves. But humans seem to be using it to help others. Maybe we did learn the lesson we set out to learn. Their conversation was interrupted by an emergency alarm. The main screen showed dozens of alien ships surrounding Earth's solar system. They weren't attacking, but they were clearly ready to, if necessary. "Incoming message from the Galactic Council," Kim announced. Vextar's crystal face appeared on the screen. Behind him, Hwan could see the other council members looking terrified. "Commander Hwan, we need to talk immediately. The situation has become critical. What's wrong?" Hwan asked. "Our scientists are detecting massive changes in the structure of space around your planet. Reality itself is becoming unstable. If this continues, it could affect the entire galaxy." Jisoo stepped forward. "We're not trying to hurt anyone. People are just trying to help their families and communities." "We understand that," Vextar said. "But good intentions do not matter when the very fabric of existence is at risk. We are giving humanity a choice." "What choice?" Taemin asked. "Allow us to perform genetic modifications that will permanently suppress these abilities, or we will be forced to contain your species to prevent galactic catastrophe." The room went silent. Hwan looked at his team and saw the same determination in their eyes that had always made humans special. "And if we refuse both options?" Hwan asked. Vextar's crystal skin dimmed. "Then we will do what our ancestors should have done 50,000 years ago. We will ensure the Voidwalkers can never threaten the galaxy again." Before anyone could respond, another alarm sounded. This one was different. It was coming from long-range sensors. "Sir," Kim said, reading the display with amazement. We're detecting a massive spatial anomaly heading toward the Kethnari home system. It's a stellar cascade. Their sun is about to explode and take out everything within 50 light years. Vextar's image flickered as he received the same information. His musical voice cracked with emotion. Our homeworld. Billions of lives. How long do they have? Jisoo asked. 6 hours, Kim replied. Maybe less. And according to our calculations, there's no known technology that can stop it. Juan looked at the screen showing the alien fleets ready to destroy humanity, and then at the data showing an entire species about to die. The choice was clear. Maybe there's no known technology, he said slowly. But we're not limited to known technology anymore, are we? The emergency meeting room on the space station was filled with tension. Representatives from Earth had gathered to decide humanity's response to the Galactic Council's ultimatum. On one side sat Junwoo, the tough commander of Earth's defense force. On the other side was Yuna, leader of the Peace Coalition. We should not bow down to their threats, Junwoo said firmly. They want to change our DNA to make us weak. That's the same as slavery. But if we don't agree, they'll destroy us, Yuna argued. Millions of people will die. Is our pride worth that much? Juan looked at the data streaming in from the Kethnari system. The stellar cascade was moving faster than predicted. The crystal being's homeworld had maybe 4 hours before their sun exploded. While we argue about what to do to save ourselves, an entire species is about to die, Juan said quietly. That's not our problem, Junwoo replied. They were ready to attack us an hour ago. It is our problem, Jisoo said from her seat near the window. We have the power to help them. The question is whether we'll use it. Kyung-ho, the engineer who had been studying alien technology, looked up from his calculations. I've been thinking about the stellar cascade. The math says it's impossible to stop, but, Taemin asked. I keep feeling like there should be a way. Like the universe is telling me the answer, but I'm not listening hard enough. Yuna shook her head. You can't just feel your way through science, Kyung-ho. Why not? He asked. Minho felt his way to healthy crops. Soo-hyun felt her way to healing her daughter. Maybe feeling is more important than thinking. An urgent message came through the communication system. It was Vextar, and his crystal skin was flickering with panic. Commander Juan, our time has run out. We are evacuating our homeworld, but we can only save a fraction of our people. Please, if you have any way to help. The proud crystal being who had threatened humanity just hours ago was now begging for their assistance. Junwoo crossed his arms. Now they want our help. After threatening to destroy us, yes, Juan said simply. They do, and you want to save them? Yes, I do. Yuna looked surprised. Even after everything they said? Especially after everything they said, Juan replied. This is our chance to prove that humans have learned the wisdom we sought. The original Void Walkers failed because they put themselves first. We can succeed by putting others first. Kyung-ho suddenly stood up, his eyes bright with understanding. I know how to stop the cascade. How? Jisoo asked. I need to go there, to the Kethnari system, and I need Minho to come with me. The farmer? Junwoo said. What can a farmer do against an exploding star? Minho didn't just grow crops, Kyung-ho explained. He convinced dead soil to be alive again. He changed the basic nature of matter itself. If he can do that to soil, maybe he can do it to a star. That's insane, Yuna said. So was growing a full harvest overnight, Jisoo pointed out. But it happened. Juan made his decision. Get Minho up here. We're going to try something impossible. 2 hours later, their fastest ship was racing toward the Kethnari system. Kyung-ho and Minho sat together, trying to understand how to save an entire star system. I still don't understand how I grew those crops, Minho admitted. I just wanted them to live so badly that they did. Maybe that's all we need, Kyung-ho said. The wanting, the refusing to accept that something can't be fixed. Back on the station, Soo-hyun had arrived with little Nari, who was now completely healthy. Other humans who had experienced the awakening were gathering, drawn by something they couldn't explain. We need to help them, Soo-hyun said. All of us together. Help them how? Asked Young-sik, a teacher who had recently discovered he could make broken things repair themselves just by believing they should work. By believing, Jisoo said, understanding finally dawning on her. The power works stronger when more people believe the same thing. If we all focus on saving the Kethnari system, we could actually do it, Juan finished. In the Kethnari system, Kyung-ho and Min-ho watched the dying star through their ship's window. It was pulsing with dangerous energy, ready to collapse and explode at any moment. "It's so big," Min-ho whispered. "How can we convince something that huge to change?" "The same way you convinced your fields," Kyung-ho said. "By caring more about the life it could support than the physics that say it should die." They linked hands and closed their eyes. Back on the station, Soo-hyun gathered the other awakened humans in a circle. Around Earth, people who had been experiencing strange new abilities suddenly felt called to help, even though they didn't understand what was happening. Min-ho thought about all the life in the Kethnari system. Billions of crystal beings who laughed and loved and dreamed just like humans. He imagined their children playing in crystal forests. He pictured their artists creating beautiful music with their voices. He refused to let all of that beauty die. Kyung-ho focused on the star itself. He imagined it burning steadily and safely for millions more years. He saw it giving light and warmth to countless worlds. He believed with every part of his being that stars were meant to create life, not destroy it. On the space station, Soo-hyun and the others added their belief to the effort. They thought about families being saved, about a species that would continue to exist, about the beauty of life continuing instead of ending. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Space itself seemed to bend around the dying star. The cascade of destruction that had been spreading outward suddenly stopped. The star's violent pulsing began to slow, but the effort was taking a terrible toll on the humans trying to save it. Min-ho felt his life force draining away as he poured everything he had into healing the star. Kyung-ho's hair turned white as he aged years and minutes. "It's working," he gasped, "but it's killing us." "Then we keep going," Min-ho said weakly. "Some things are worth dying for." On the station, Soo-hyun felt the same drain on her energy. Around Earth, other humans collapsed as they gave their life force to save a species that had threatened them. But they didn't stop, because stopping would mean letting billions of innocent beings die, and humans had never been good at accepting that the innocent should suffer. The star stabilized. The cascade stopped completely. The Kethnari homeworld was safe. In their ship, Kyung-ho and Min-ho collapsed, barely alive but smiling. They had done something impossible because it was the right thing to do. Back on the station, Vextar's voice came through the communication system, filled with wonder and gratitude. "You saved us. You nearly died to save the very people who threatened you. Why?" Juan looked around at his exhausted team, at the humans who had sacrificed their own life force to save strangers. "Because that's what we learned during our 50,000-year dream," he said. "That real power isn't about what you can take or destroy. It's about what you're willing to give to help others." 6 months after the Kethnari rescue, Earth looked very different. The old Galactic Council building had been replaced with a new structure that seemed to grow from the ground like a living tree. Inside, representatives from dozens of species worked together in ways that had never been possible before. Juan walked through the main hall, wearing the simple uniform of a galactic mediator. He stopped to watch a group of alien children learning from human teachers. The kids were from 6 different species, all playing together, while learning about the connection between consciousness and reality. "Still hard to believe, isn't it?" said a familiar musical voice. Juan turned to see Vextar approaching. The Kethnari's crystal skin was brighter now, no longer dimmed by fear. "What's hard to believe?" Juan asked. "That we spent 50,000 years afraid of the very beings who would save us," Vextar replied. "We thought the Voidwalker's return would mean the end of everything. Instead, it meant the beginning of something better." They walked together toward the meeting room where the new Covenant of Equals was holding its daily session. Unlike the old council, this group had no fixed leaders. Different species took turns guiding discussions, and decisions were made together. "How are Kyung-ho and Min-ho doing?" Vextar asked. "Better every day," Juan said. "The healing process is slow, but Soo-hyun says they should make a full recovery. Turns out that human ability to heal extends to energy drain as well as physical wounds." "And the others who helped with the rescue? All recovering. None of them regret what they did, even though they knew it might kill them." They entered the meeting room where Jisoo was presenting her latest research to a mixed group of human and alien scientists. The Institute for Conscious Reality had become the most important research center in the galaxy. "We've discovered that consciousness doesn't just affect reality at the quantum level," Jisoo was explaining. It seems to be the fundamental force that creates reality. What we think of as physical laws are actually just the most common ways consciousness has learned to express itself. A Zerathi scientist, one of the insect-like species, raised a claw. Are you saying that everything we know about physics is wrong? Not wrong, Jisoo said with a smile. Just incomplete. Physics describes how reality usually works, but consciousness can overrule those patterns when it believes strongly enough that things should be different. How is this possible? Asked a plant-like being from the Verdani collective. Think of reality like a river, explained Dr. Han, a human physicist who had joined Jisoo's team. Most of the time water flows in the same direction. That's like physical laws, but consciousness is like a very strong swimmer who can choose to go upstream, or even convince the water to flow in a new direction. Vextar whispered to Juan, 6 months ago we would have called this madness. 6 months ago, it would have been, Juan replied. But watching humans save your homeworld changed how everyone thinks about what's possible. After the meeting, Juan met with Taimin in the diplomatic wing. The former ambassador had become humanity's chief representative to species who were still nervous about human abilities. How did the meeting with the Axian Empire go? Juan asked. Better than expected, Taimin said, looking tired but hopeful. They're the last major holdout against joining the Covenant. They still believe humans are too dangerous to trust. Can you blame them? Not really. The Axians remember the old Voidwalker legends better than most. Their homeworld was nearly destroyed during the last days of the original Voidwalker civilization. Juan sat down across from his old friend. What will it take to convince them? Time, and proof that we really have changed. One rescue mission isn't enough to erase 50,000 years of fear. Their conversation was interrupted by young Sik, the teacher who had discovered his ability to repair broken things. He looked excited about something. Commander, you need to see this, he said, leading them to a window that looked out over the station's main plaza. Below them, a group of Kethnari children were playing with human kids, but they weren't just playing normally. They were collaborating to create things that shouldn't exist. A Kethnari child would imagine a butterfly made of light, and a human child would believe it into existence. Then they would both guide it through the air, laughing as it danced around them. They're learning together, Youngsik said. The alien children are teaching the human kids how to focus their thoughts more precisely. The human children are teaching the aliens how to believe more strongly. Together they can do things that neither species could do alone. Taimin smiled. Maybe that's the answer for the Axians. Show them it's not about humans controlling reality alone. It's about all species working together to make reality better. That evening, Juan walked through the station's garden district. This area had been created entirely through conscious collaboration between humans and plant-like Verdani. The result was something no single species could have imagined. Trees that sang in harmony with the wind, flowers that bloomed in response to emotions, grass that felt like silk under your feet. He found Suhyun sitting by a fountain with her daughter Nari. The little girl was completely healthy now, playing with a water creature that seemed to be made of living liquid. How is she adjusting to all the changes? Juan asked. Better than most adults, Suhyun laughed. Children don't have fixed ideas about what's possible. To Nari, having friends from other planets and playing with creatures made of light is just normal. Maybe that's what we need more of, the willingness to see impossible things as normal. Suhyun nodded. The old Voidwalkers failed because they thought their power made them special, different from everyone else. But humans are succeeding because we're using our power to bring everyone together. A communication alert sounded from Juan's device. It was an urgent message from the edge of the galaxy. What is it? Suhyun asked, seeing his concerned expression. A distress call from the Axian Empire. They're facing some kind of natural disaster that threatens their entire civilization. Their message says all their technology is useless against it. And they're asking for help? They're asking for humans specifically. The message says, only those who can change the impossible into possible can save us now. Juan looked up at the stars visible through the station's transparent dome. Somewhere out there, another species was learning that their fear of humanity had blinded them to what humans could actually offer. Will you go? Suhyun asked. Of course. That's what we do now. We help. As Juan prepared to leave for the Axian Empire, he thought about how much everything had changed. 6 months ago, the galaxy had been paralyzed by fear of humanity's awakening power. Now that same power was becoming the foundation for a new kind of civilization. The truth was finally clear. What aliens had dreaded about humans wasn't their ability to break reality, or their refusal to accept limitations. What they had really feared was hope itself, the dangerous idea that things could always be better than they were. For 50,000 years, the galaxy had accepted suffering as inevitable, limitations as permanent, and problems as unsolvable, but humans brought something different. The stubborn belief that tomorrow could be better than today, and the power to make that belief real. The old Galactic Council had been built on maintaining the status quo. The new Covenant of Equals was built on the principle that the status quo could always be improved. As his ship departed for Axion space, Juan smiled. He was heading toward another impossible situation that humans would somehow make possible. Not because they were gods or superior beings, but because they had learned the most important lesson of all. Real power wasn't about what you could control or destroy. It was about what you could create, heal, and inspire. And the greatest power of all was the ability to help others believe that impossible things were just problems waiting for the right solution. The galaxy was no longer afraid of humans. Instead, it was learning to hope alongside them. And that, Juan thought, was the most impossible and wonderful thing of all.